Hey y'all, it's your Vice Mayor Dan Wu. We're here in beautiful Cardinal Run North Park, and we're here today to talk about pickleball. Pickleball as a sport has been around for decades, but it's only been in recent years where it has just blown up. And we here at the city obviously fully support pickleball. We have so many courts in so many of our parks. And today I'm going to show you a few of the basics of how to play pickleball. So first, let's talk about the court and the equipment. The court itself is about half the size of a tennis court, and it's laid out sort of similarly. The net is a little bit shorter than a tennis net. The ball is essentially a wiffle ball. And the paddle, kind of a giant ping pong paddle. And like any sport, you want to dress for it. Athletic gear, tennis shoes, or these days, pickleball shoes. Or you could dress like Mac, I guess. So in recreational play, you play to 11 and you have to win by 2. In singles play, one side starts serving. If they score a point, then they continue serving. They have to switch sides to the other side to serve. If the server gets a side out, then the other side starts serving, etc. And you kind of go back and forth until somebody gets to 11 points, win by 2. In doubles play, the first server gets to serve one time. And if they keep scoring, they can continue to serve. That side will switch sides. If they get a side out, the other side starts to serve. Server always starts on the right, and they have to serve diagonally to that opponent. To serve the ball, you have to hit it from below your waistline. You can't hit it up here, and no overhead smashes like in tennis. You can do it one of two ways. You can bounce it and then hit it, or you can just hit it straight out of your hand. I usually like to point my opposite foot towards my opponent, and you're always going to be serving diagonally, like this. One of the things to remember after you serve is that it has to bounce on your opponent's side, and then when they hit it back to you, it has to bounce again. After that, it can bounce or not bounce, you can hit it out of the air, do whatever you need to do. But for this first serve, it has to bounce and bounce. When you serve the ball, it can't enter the kitchen and it can't hit the kitchen line. So if Mac is serving to me and it hits in there, that's a side out and no point for them. If it hits anywhere near the line or on the line, that's also a side out, no point for them. It has to clearly cross that line, and it also has to be in the quadrant diagonal to the server. There are quite a few differences between singles and doubles. Doubles is probably the most popular way you've seen pickleball played. In singles play, I would basically serve to Mac. If I get the point, I'm going to go over here to the other side. Mac also goes to the other side. I serve to him again, and I keep serving if I keep scoring. If I get a side out, then it's his turn to serve. In doubles, if I serve and I score, then we switch sides. And I continue serving until we stop scoring. If I serve and get a side out, normally, this is after the first serve, if I serve and get a side out, then it's Haley's turn to serve. If she serves and scores, she keeps serving, we switch sides, etc. If she gets a side out, now it's their turn. Same thing on that side. Because of the 2-bounce rule, you want to make sure that your partner, when you're serving, is staying back with you, because when that shot comes back, it needs to bounce. If Haley's all the way up here, it's going to bounce right past her, and she also cannot hit it out of the air. I always like to remember, serve and stay. Whether you're serving or your partner is serving, serve and stay until that third shot comes, then you can advance to the net. Let's talk about position a little bit. Where do you want to be in this game? This is the baseline. By the way, when you serve, you have to be behind the baseline. This is the baseline. This is where you want to be when you hit long shots. Here's another good one. When you're playing next to other people and a ball comes into your court, they'll be yelling, ball, ball, ball. You might be yelling, ball, ball, ball. The play stops, they get their ball, and then you replay that point because it's interference. This is the kitchen. Most of your game, you want to be playing right here because you have the advantage of being close to the net and you can react fast. Haley, if you want to stand right in the middle there. As you can see, I can reach most of my half of the court. Another thing to remember, we're both right-handed, so forehands are stronger than backhands. If a ball comes to the middle, it is most likely my ball. I can get way more reach on it. See how short her reach is there versus my reach? So very often the person on the left, if they're right-handed, they're going to cover that middle piece. This is also called poaching. When what looks like you're taking your partner's shot, it is not necessarily rude. Sometimes it's part of the strategy. So if you want to play most of your game in the kitchen, it doesn't mean that you run up here as soon as the point begins. You look for opportunities. So if they're hitting deep like that, sometimes it's hard for me to get. All this space in the middle is called the transition zone, sometimes called the dead zone. You don't want to be stuck here. These are bad positions to play. You want to be using the transition zone to transition, either from the baseline to the kitchen or back to the baseline. You don't want to live here. You might have heard of something called dinking. All that means is soft hits that are short and most of the time in the kitchen. Looks like this. Here's how you do scoring. You'll hear in doubles, players call out 3 numbers. We're gonna start with 0-0 start. First number is our score, second number is their score, and the third number is who's serving. Is it the first server or the second server? I'm gonna start off by saying start because the first serve, you only get it once. Haley will not get to serve on this first round. So here we go, 0-0 start. So that was a side out for me, which means it's now their turn to serve, so it's Max serve. When he serves, he's gonna say 0-0-1. 0 is their score, 0 is my score, he's the first to serve. He's gonna serve to me. As we're receiving serve, I'm gonna be back here at the baseline to expect the serve. Haley, my partner, she can be all the way up at the kitchen line. All right. So they had a side out, so now it's Tyler's turn to serve. The score is now 0-0-2 because he's the second to serve. Haley's gonna go back to the baseline to receive the serve. I'm up here at the kitchen ready to go. Now, if the ball doesn't make it over the net or the ball lands in the kitchen, that's a side out and then it goes to the other side. What you wanna do is to be in a loose athletic position. You want your feet a little bit apart. You want your knees bent, and that way you can bounce. There's a lot of lateral movement in pickleball to do this, to cover the court. When you cross like this, it's very unstable and you could fall. So you want to be like this. You want your paddle up in front of your face. And that way you're ready for a backhand or a forehand. And you always want to be tracking the ball. Even if the ball goes behind you, you want to track it. Some players like to point their paddle at the ball, and that's another way to help them track it so that when it comes, they're ready to react. Let's talk about line calls for a second. Generally in recreational play, the people on the side where the ball is get to call the ball. We're the ones that are gonna see it more easily. Sometimes you get into arguments. To me, it's not worth it. If the ball hits the line, it's in. If you're not sure if it's in or out, you call it in. Sometimes in a friendly game, if people are really, really unsure about it, you can just play the point over. Sometimes the ball could land like this. It's technically out because it's not touching the line. But from our point of view as players from up here, it'll look in. If you're not sure, you call it in. Let's talk about communication for a second. Sometimes balls are gonna come in between us and we're not gonna know who's supposed to take it. I always just use 2 words only, either you or me. You means it's likely to be your ball or it should be your ball. Me means I'm taking the ball. I don't like to say, got it? Because got it sounds like, do I have it? Do you have it? It gets confusing. Communication is really, really important. With all the courts here in our beautiful park system, I'm sure you'll be able to find a place to play near you. We'll see you on the court.